Hello, I am Amber Neal. I'm the special education teacher at Fairview Elementary, and I'm here with you today to discuss Kason's most recent comprehensive evaluation. I just want to, just for the record, state that he is a male in kindergarten at Fairview Elementary. He is 5 years, and he will be 6 on March 6th, so coming up on that birthday. He is currently eligible for special education services under the handicapping condition of intellectual disability, and we'll discuss exactly what that means. We know he also receives the related services at school of occupational, speech, and physical therapy due to some of those challenges that he experiences. So anyway, so I wanted to share that with you. First of all, I just want to go through the test that he was given. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each test, what it measures, what the purpose of it is, and then kind of what those findings or results indicate as far as what supports and services we're going to be providing for Kason based on that. So first of all, you know that you completed actually as part of his file the Woodcock-Johnson parent checklist. And what that does is that takes your responses and compares them with the responses of, so it's a normed assessment, meaning his scores are compared to students his age. And so it measures his strengths and weaknesses in the areas of reading, writing, fluid reasoning, like his thinking, his processing, his ability to hold and manipulate information and work with it. Language, how well he can express himself, how well he can understand. Memory, his ability to pay attention, and how his processing speed, or just very simply how quickly he thinks, how long or what the process he goes through in order to assimilate new information. So that measures a student's learning aptitude or ability. And so this is considered an intelligence quotient test, which basically means like what's their potential for learning. So this assessment is appropriate, obviously in various versions for individuals 2 years into late adulthood. And so with you completing the parental checklist, basically that gives us some background information, and it just serves to determine that none of his challenges, physical, intellectual, none of those are attributed to like a cultural difference. Like, is he having difficulty acclimating to the climate of school? Or is it because he's not been in school or he has not been educated? And obviously none of those things are true. So that demonstrates that clearly his difficulties stem from a disability. So he was also given a speech and language evaluation. Now, I want to tell you that the criteria for students to meet criteria for speech therapy in school is a much higher bar or a much higher burden of proof, I guess is an easy way to say that, than what a clinical or a doctor would tell you. That a doctor may tell you they need speech therapy, but an evaluation that is performed on behalf of the school district is going to look and see, is there a deficit in his ability to express himself or to understand others that is going to prevent him from accessing or from benefiting his educational experience. So it's going to look at his ability with spoken language, nonverbal language, his cognitive ability, like his mind, his intellectual ability. And then it'll also look at the motor, like the actual physical parts of his mouth, the swallowing function. So they'll look and see if any of his speech difficulties are due to like a structural defect. So anyway, and so if any of those deficits are present, and if so, whether or not they have an adverse impact on Kason's ability to benefit from his educational programming. And in which case, we know that they did find that there is. So this assessment is given to early school age children. So again, just perfect for him there. It's important that we know that test is not culturally biased or in would any way like preclude him from performing at a way that gives us an accurate picture of his strengths and weaknesses in this area. So we know that the test found that he has a profound articulation impairment, meaning that the way he pronounces certain sounds is difficult to understand. So his receptive language, meaning the way he understands when people speak to him, and his vocabulary, those skills are average, so that's good. That means he does not have trouble understanding when he is spoken to. His expressive vocabulary and language are mildly impaired, again, meaning that there is a deficit in his ability to express himself, to ask for what he wants, to articulate his own needs. His expressive language skills are moderately impaired. And so the thing is that his speech is difficult to understand, so it could prevent his teacher from understanding when he's talking to her. This is characterized by deletions and substitutions, meaning that he substitutes other sounds for a sound that is difficult for him to pronounce. So, like, for example, when I was working with him for the first time, I would ask him a question and I would think that he would say het, but it took me a few minutes to realize that he was saying yes. So, like, he's substituting t for s in that word. So he doesn't have any deficits. There's nothing wrong in his oral motor structure. So there's nothing wrong in his mouth. There's nothing wrong with that function. That's all adequate. So he doesn't have any deficits in hearing or vision, any vocal deficiency. So all that is fine. Again, it's articulation and his ability to express himself. So with that, we did find that he will benefit from speech therapy in school 30 minutes a week in order to profit from his educational programming. So we're going to provide that for him. We also found that he was also given the Vineland Adaptive Behavioral Scale. And that basically, this assessment measures the ability of an individual to adapt to, like, their physical environment. Like, how well can he manage himself from day to day in life here at school and at home. So again, we're particularly concerned with how he measures and how he manages himself at school, how he navigates things like getting around the building, transitioning from one activity to the next. So we look at 3 areas: communication, which focuses on his receptive language, his ability to understand others; his expressive language, his ability to express himself to others; and his ability to express himself in written form. And because of his age, that's not any deficit there is not quite such a factor for concern just yet. We also look at how he scores in terms of socialization. How are his interpersonal relationships? Does he get along with his peers? Does he play in a manner that is typical of other students his age? Does he have coping skills when he gets upset? Is he able to self-regulate, to calm himself down? And then we also look at daily living skills in terms of personal skills, like to what degree can he take care of his hygiene, like going to the restroom, brushing his teeth, washing his hands, keeping his little nose clean. So to what degree can he care for himself in that way? What domestic tasks can he do? So, like, for example, could he get himself a snack, or could he get himself a drink at home? Can he take care of his materials and manage his materials in the classroom? Excuse me, just a second. And then within the community, like, what's his understanding of money? Do we expect that he would be able to function independently as an adult or as a later teenager? Could he go shopping? Could he determine whether or not he has enough money to purchase a desired item? So those kinds of things. So this assessment is particularly used with individuals with neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism, or characteristics of autism, or attention deficit disorders. It's appropriate for individuals ages 3 to 21. Cayson's adaptive behavior composite, meaning his total score in all 3 of those areas of socialization, daily living, and communication, was 67, which is significantly below the normative mean of 100. So 100 is average. His communication domain, his standard score was 70. His daily living was 68, and his socialization was 65. So again, you put that together, he's got a 67, a standard score of 67 there, which again is significantly below what we would want to see for a child his age and his ability to adapt to and manage his environment. So additionally, he was given the developmental profile, the DP4. So it includes 190 test items across 5 domains that look at his physical ability, his adaptive behaviors again, his socio-emotional competencies, his cognitive skills, and his ability to communicate. And it identifies strengths and weaknesses across those areas, and it's given to individuals birth to 21 years, but obviously the way that is done would change. So as far as his general intellectual ability, his Gelt score was a 40, which is significantly below average and places him in a category that is considered delayed. His adaptive behavior, that Gelt score is 64, which is also considered delayed. His socio-emotional score was significantly higher, and I just want to say that he is just precious. Like, his socio-emotional skills are obviously much higher. Like, he's very well able to connect with, and he's very kind and well-mannered, and he's just very pleasant and just a precious little boy, and I really enjoyed working with him. So anyway, so that score is an 80. So even though it is still a little bit below average, it's much higher than his others. So we know that that's a strength for him. So that's positive. In communication, his standard score was a 64, so that's also delayed, and his physical score was a 77, which is below average, but we know he's having some of those challenges which have been addressed and are being addressed with physical and occupational therapy too, in order to support those deficits in gross and fine motor skills. So I wanted to share that with you. He also was given the kindergarten readiness indicator checklist for early childhood educators. We give this screen in our district to any child we consider is at risk of being a little bit delayed. It measures strengths and weaknesses across the 4 domains of language and literacy, math, social foundations, and physical well-being, and again, that motor development. So it looks at these domains in order to inform the teacher's instructional decisions. It's given to incoming kindergarten students, which obviously as a kindergartner, he received that, especially having been transferring over from opportunities where he was already receiving some intervention services. So in all of these categories, social, emotional, cognitive, language development, emergent literacy, meaning like how well is he on track to become a proficient reader, and again, in his physical, he scored delayed in all of those. But again, we're providing supports and interventions to support him in that so that he is best able to profit from his educational programming. And then finally, he was given a physical therapy evaluation by our school-based physical therapist. This is a norm reference test, meaning it compares his ability to for like his range of motion in his upper and lower extremities, which is just arms and legs. Considers his muscle tone, sense of balance, coordination, and ambulation, or just how well he walks. So it measures, again, compares him to other students his age and looks to see if any deficits or any difficulties in those areas are present, and if so, to what degree, and would they prevent him from benefiting from his educational programming. So this is an appropriate assessment for children 4 to 21 years of age. His scores in that did show that he would benefit from school-based physical therapy services in order to best benefit from his educational experience. His scores place him at more than a 1.5 standard deviation, which places him significantly below the standardized measure of his peers. So it shows that his weaknesses are he has decreased strength, decreased gross motor skills, and also some deficits in balance and coordination. We know he's wearing braces in his shoes, and again is currently working on navigating steps more independently, walking in a straight line, like some of those tasks, looking to support balance. So again, just a precious boy, and so thankful for the opportunity to work with him. If you have any questions, please let me know. And again, just wanted to share this with you. But like I said, if I can make this make sense anymore, please don't hesitate to reach out.